So I wanted to do this this really quick little video update to record a moment in my life, to document it quickly. Today is the 15th of November 2011. It's actually 5 AM in the morning, 4:57, and I'm backing up an album that I finished called Process Recovery Part 2. You know this because this is for you. I've just been thinking back over, it's been 4 years ago I was working for when did I start this? Some of the songs were like a real long time ago. But nearly 5 years ago. No. I mean, like 4.5 years ago, I broke up with this girl, and I had this period of time where I was like adjusting and dealing with life, and I wrote a load of songs about that particularly. And then I kind of have this period where I was kind of rediscovering myself a bit. I'd done some traveling, and I was trying to figure out what I want from life and how to get what I want and how to exist, in a way that I could balance what I wanted and actually existing in the real world. And I wrote this album, and it was during a time where I finished at one job and was waiting for another one to start, like 3 years ago. Yeah, exactly 3 years ago. So I had this period of like 2 months, less than that really, like 6 weeks off, and I turned something that was a pile of ideas into a concept. Concept that originated it originated right at the very beginning in this breakup and became something a lot more, and that's what the album's really about. Why am I going on about this? I wanted to capture this just to say that the problem with what happened with this album though was, instead of it being like typically you write something and that's what you focus on, you have your job and your friends and your life and you have something that you focus on. I'd started a band at the same time, and I was doing all this other stuff as well, and I did a lot of travelling in that year, and this album kept getting like pushed to the back of my priorities, not because of, I think because I didn't want to really deal with it. The problem with doing a concept album, a concept about a journey from a place that's, full of some negativity, but also full of confusion, to a place that you want to be as opposed to you are. Instead of doing it like retrospectively and looking back over it, a period where you went from confusion to togetherness, I don't know what the word would be, to everything being, making sense and being clear and you having focus. It was like, at the time I wrote this concept of where I'd wanted to be, to try and help me get to where I wanted to be. But instead, it kind of became this thing that I couldn't really write, or I couldn't finish working on, because I didn't feel I was at that juncture, maybe. I think, like, analysing it, looking back, I think that's maybe why it kept going second priority, because I didn't really feel able to progress things like as fast as I wanted. So I was still going through this process whilst writing this record and whilst finishing these tracks, and I was almost like I had to get each track to a juncture before I could take that step, and everything slowed. So yeah, and then it got and then I got to the juncture where I just put it down and I didn't pick it up for, like, I had a band as well. The band became the priority and their tracks became the priority, so that got put on, like, just stopped. And then maybe like 18 months ago, the band that I was in kind of called it a day, and I had 6 months where I guess I started to, whilst working and everything else, focus on getting this. It's basically what was like a collection of demos back into an actual serious recorded piece. So actually getting into the production of it a lot. Yeah, and then the band re-emerged, or a different band started up, and again it happened. And this summer I had some time off, and I kind of realised that if I didn't take some time off, it would never get finished, and some other stuff that I've been working on as well would never get finished, because I built this big pile of just great stuff that I wanted to finish and realise, because that's the key. So many people in the world don't start things, and they have visions, and they're great at creating these lumps of clay that roughly look like something, and going, I could have been this, it had the potential to be this great thing. They can sketch, but they can't turn that sketch into a story or a comic book or and I guess what I'm saying is the hardest part is to stop yourself being creative to finish off something that you created previously, to put all your energy and focus into the realization of an idea, and to take that tiny little thing that you created in your head as far as you can physically take it. And that's a hard thing to know, how far do you go with something? Do you keep fixing things and improving things that no one else but you would know? It's also one of the most beautiful things about it is you're the only person that will ever really get this process, and will ever really get these tracks this level, and will really understand what went into them, what was involved in them, process as a whole. And there's just there's something really beautiful about that blood, sweat and tears, and that I guess that it's only for you. A lot of people in the world, they look to other people for validation, I guess, and I find the thing I love about recording and this part, not just making music and that side of it, but actually taking something all the way to a point where you're like, I can't make this any better, this is as good as I can do, all by yourself, no one else has been involved in this, all by yourself, is that it is only for you. The only reason you're taking it to that level, the changes that no one else would hear, is that it's only for you. I think it's rare in life to have those kind of I guess it's selfish, I don't know, for you to know that you're the only person that can see the beauty in that level of detail in something. It's like everybody else looks at it and they're only looking at, through the glass, and you're the other side. I think that makes sense. But so today was a really good day. 15th, or yesterday I guess, 14th and 15th of November. Finishing this record off, putting it up on the web for people to hear, but more than that, me locking it away in a safety deposit. I've just literally put it up, finished the mixes, listened to it a million times, and now I listen to it, I'm really happy with it. It's a weird world, you look at things you do, and people get jobs and they get money and they get degrees and all this kind of stuff, and this is sound a little strange I guess, but those things are all, people say, well done, well done, well done, good for you, look at you, isn't that great? The thing I love about this is I have some money, and I have 2 degrees, and I have things like that, and all of them pale massively in comparison to this process, because the only driver in this process is your desire to create something. There's nothing else involved in it, nothing at all. There's no second motivator. There's no, if I do this then I'll get this. It's pure because of that. You're creating something because you want to create something, and you're investing all this time and all this energy because you want to see it realize its potential and become this thing. And yeah, I'm really happy that I've done this a few times now, but I think this is, I put more into this than I've put into probably anything in my entire life, like as a single body of work, and it is the most rewarding and challenging, and it's just so weird because not sharing it, but like you can't even convey that to people. Like, instead of my dad, here's an album, you know, I've listened to, oh, very good, and you're like, cheers, you know, and you'll never get the feedback, not the feedback, because it's not, but you'll never get the, no one else can share in that moment with you, no matter how close they are to you, no one else can share in that moment with you, in any way near or shape or form, the way you share it, the way you experience it anyway. It's probably quite hard to get, I guess, for a lot of people as well, people that aren't creative and haven't been through anything in a creative process, I find anyway, explaining, you know, to people why I put so much energy into something that is only for me. Explaining, guess what I've just explained, but no, I'm really happy. It's kind of a red letter day, so I thought I'd turn the camera on while these backups finish. If you want to check it out, if you're around, if I do put this on YouTube and it's like a random person watching this, I release stuff under the name Inku, which is ink with U on the end, so INKU, and it's inku.bandcamp.com, and they've put it up for free. Obviously, I just want people, if people want to hear it, then yeah, it's in a load of different qualities, and like high quality, FLAC and stuff, it's up there. I should turn this off because I'm going to start keep rambling, but yeah. I was at the garage afterwards, like petrol, like getting some sweets and things to sort of celebrate, and then balloons are on offer, so I thought I'd get some balloons and celebrate. Yeah. The great thing about this as well is now I get to move on. It's really bittersweet because you kind of like, I'm so glad it's over. I'm so proud of what I've done. But the next day you're like, you tell yourself, I'm gonna take a break from doing artistic stuff, and you know, from this crazy process. But you miss it. And every time I've done this in the past, like 2 days later, I start something new that will then be my beautiful ball and chain for the next X years. It's never been this year long previously, it's never been 4 years, but you know, it's really crazy as well because I listen to it and I'm like, when did I write that? How did I write that? Where did that come from? Yeah, I'm really proud. I'm more proud of this than anything I've done in my life. So check it out if you want. That's it. I guess if there's one thing you take away from this, 90% of people in the world are watchers. They just consume things, they just watch things, they observe people, places, they watch movies, they listen to music, they look at pieces of art, they look at photos, but they never really create. And even the ones that are involved in that circus never take any, like, it's rare, even like musicians I know, you know, they'll play their instrument, they'll write some songs, but they'll always just be rough sketches, and they'll never really truly experience this artistic process of taking something as far as it can go. And there's a real beautiful reward in doing that. Whether people, or whether, you know, the product isn't, it's taking something as far as it can go. And give it a go. I never found anything in my life that is almost comparable to it. It's great.